Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of September 11th through the 17th of 2023. All right, so this week we have a new moon concentrated around Thursday and Friday time period. So it is the ending of the lunar month as we do approach that Thursday, Friday. And so it is good to let the energies die down, do a bit of a reset, do some clearing in order to end the current lunar month and create space for the new one. Now, the new moon will be right in between Sidereal, Leo, and Virgo, and so it is likely in many ways still working with that self-expression of Leo, especially because we still have Mercury and Venus entering back into there. And so, so it's really good for that self-expression, but certainly starting some new energy with improvement, refinement, and getting into the details of things there with Virgo. Now, Mercury is going station direct here today, right in the middle of Leo. And so there is some forward movement towards the later part of the week, probably some shifts of insights regarding whatever we've been reflecting on these past few weeks, and slowly noticing some things moving forward regarding our day-to-day life, things we've been thinking about, and maybe even things we've been redoing these past few weeks. And then lastly, Venus going back into Leo, going square up to Jupiter. And so there is a bit of expansion maybe available, maybe a bit of open-mindedness when it comes to our values and relationships. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here's the sky for this week. We're going to look at this for each day of the week, starting first with Monday, September 11th. And as you can see here, we are using the visible sky on this channel, which is very different from mainstream astrology. You won't see mainstream using the visible sky because unfortunately they don't use it. And so if you are new to this channel, and especially if you notice some of the sign placements are different, like saying how the sun is finishing Leo this week, and maybe you're expecting it to already be in Virgo. If you are new to these signs, definitely check out the link down below for more information on using the visible sky called True Sidereal Astrology. All right, so let's go ahead and break this down one day at a time here. As you can see, most of the concentration of astrological energy is towards the later part of the week. Not so much outer energy. This is definitely a week of ending the current lunar month as we approach that new moon. And new moons are the lowest energy of the lunar cycle, and even around them, it's good to just be receptive and listen to see what new is emerging, and of course also setting intentions that we can slowly work towards and build towards as then later next week and onwards we start to build more of that momentum. But let's go ahead and start here with Monday. So the moon will be in Cancer on Monday, emphasizing the more protective side of life. How can we create that safe and secure environment for ourselves and others? And this is where Venus has recently gone direct and is going to be finishing this quick dip into Cancer that she's done here. She'll go into Leo here around that same time as the new moon. But yes, this more protective energy I think is really good, particularly Monday. But I would say all week long is good as Venus is finishing this constellation. And I think we've probably learned a little bit maybe these past few weeks when she dipped in here about the value of connecting to our personal life, to our emotions, our feelings, our soul, and perhaps connecting in a way for not only ourselves but also with Venus for others in a way that is caring, nurturing, and protective. So certainly some themes around that, but I would say definitely Monday and even, Monday, the moon will be finishing here. And then once we do get to Tuesday, and for this whole time leading up to the new moon, the moon will, of course, be in Leo. Now, this is where we had the last new moon as well. So while this new beginning we are experiencing this week will still be about expressive Leo, in many ways, a lot of this has already been developed this past month. And I would say it's a good time between now and Friday to complete and finalize some of this self-expressive energy. Again, it's been helping us connect more to our heart, to express ourselves, to cultivate more of the things and people we love in life, and fundamentally express ourselves. And so good to connect with that, be attuned to that, as we do end the current lunar cycle and maybe embody it on a soul and spiritual level in order for us to finalize and integrate that stuff for the beginning of the new one. But like I said, we still do have definitely a lot of energy in Leo, as of course Venus still has to make a full transit there once again since she's been retrograde. Mercury as well going direct this week in Leo. So still a lot of that self-expression in the mix, and especially with the moon here this first half of the week, I think it is fantastic. All right, so that is that whole period, moon in Leo, leading up to the new moon. The new moon will be late Thursday, early Friday for most of us. And it will be right again in the middle of the constellations of Leo and Virgo. So there is a lot of this new beginning also attributed to the improvement natures of Virgo. Virgo is all about getting more in touch with that side that does want to improve things, fix things, get into the details, and get more into the analytical side as well. And in fact, Mars has already been here. And so there's already been that side of ourself this past over a month now with pursuing things in this way, getting things done in a more methodical, analytical way, or in a more improvement-oriented way, right? Mars is our actions and how we're asserting ourselves. But the new moon is the new beginning in terms of cultivating it for the lunar month. We will have the next new moon in Virgo as well. So really over the next, we could say 2 months, I think is fantastic to be focused on this improvement nature. And so the new moon is a great time to get more in tune with that, start some new things with that, and again, great to set some new intentions regarding that improvement and refining nature. Now the new moon does look quite nice. Now it is opposite up to Neptune. Neptune is the opposite to Virgo, which rules Pisces, which is more about going with the flow and being receptive. So while I think things are definitely getting more in the scope of groundedness with Virgo, the improvement and refinement of the tangible world, Neptune reminds us to let go of what's outside of our control and to also remember to check in with our soul and our spiritual selves. And this can, be a bit of a balance here. This balance will also be emphasized, of course, once we get to the full moon in 2 weeks after this new moon, because it will be in Pisces. But I would say right now and for this whole lunar cycle, finding that balance between the physical world and the spiritual world, between the tangible and the, spiritual, and even between things like doing and being, work and rest, physical health, spiritual health / mental health, right? These things can be great to balance. But the new moon is in a grand trine, actually. It's in a grand trine up to Uranus and Pluto. And in fact, the sun will be trining up to Uranus just after this new moon on Friday exact. And so there is a lot of this spontaneous energy with Uranus to be more of our individual true selves, to challenge the status quo, maybe our own status quo in the sense of getting outside of our comfort zone and experimenting a little bit. So Uranus is all about listening more to our excitement and doing things more in alignment with that true self. And with Uranus in this close trine to Pluto, it emphasizes this more easy time to be able to empower and transform things in our life. Pluto is never easy to work with. None of the outer planets are really easy to work with, even in trines. It's not easy for anyone to really, face our fears and, challenge ourselves to grow like that, to empower ourselves. But in trines, there's definitely the wind in our sails and definitely the momentum and support to do that. And so it's a great new moon for setting those kinds of intentions. Again, fundamentally, what can we both create and express while also work on and improve, but in a way that's maybe empowering, transformative, removing obstacles. With Uranus, connecting more to our true self, listening to our excitement. There is definitely support with that. And again, just maintaining that balance with Neptune, as that will be the most important aspect with the new moon in terms of that receptivity as well. All right, so Mercury is going station direct on Friday, and so it's been the past few weeks of maybe things getting reflected on, maybe things not moving forward completely in certain areas of your life, maybe other areas maybe on the back burner a little bit. So it's been good to be adaptive and flexible and learning and trying new and different things. But this starts to conclude as we come out of the new moon and go into next week. We'll probably notice a little bit more of that forward movement with all things mental, communicative, correspondence, and really just our day-to-day life and day-to-day energy, as Mercury does rule that. So around the new moon, maybe noticing a shift of perspective, looking at things in a different light, and maybe making sense of some of the stuff from the past few weeks, either consciously or even unconsciously, because the mind does tend to shift perspective there with Mercury direct. Now, specifically on Friday, though, it is good to pause a bit, as Mercury will be stationed in the sky. It's not always the best time to just go full steam ahead. We need to wait for Mercury to build his momentum. So allow for a little bit of that pause, a little bit of that shifting of perspective, and good time to usually pause anyways, being the new moon, lower energy of the cycle there. All right, so that's Mercury going direct. Again, that's going to be in Leo, really in the context of what is close to our hearts and expressing ourselves there with all of that. And Venus at this time will start to go into Leo as well, again emphasizing that self-expression, seeing the value of that, the enjoyment of that. And she will be then squaring up to Jupiter for the last time of her retrograde. She's been in the square to Jupiter throughout this past couple months with this retrograde she's had. And these are two benefics, so normally squares would be quite challenging. But when you have two benefics, Venus and Jupiter, can come across as quite easy. It's just that we want to make sure that it is still being grounded. And with this, it's Venus, the planet of what we value and enjoy in life, perhaps having some over or under extremes with expansive, optimistic, over enjoyments of Jupiter. And so it is good to see if there are any over or under extremes with our enjoyments, our abundances, our pleasures of life, maybe even some of those relationships, and just being conscious and aware that maybe we're under a bit of that influence of that pendulum swing with that. But I think at this point we're really veterans of it because it's the last third and final contact. And so I think it's really about integrating just more of these healthy qualities of Jupiter, which is to still be open-minded about what we can enjoy and connect with in life, and how we can connect in our relationships. To be open-minded and be able to see the big picture and still see that there maybe are some opportunities in what we can enjoy and attract to us in life that can be integrated, can be implemented with this square. All right, so that's going on, and over this whole weekend we do have the moon in Virgo, so again integrating that improvement nature slowly as we go through this lunar month and into next week with the moon here. All right, so that is the week in a nutshell. Again, a lot of the concentration of astrological energy is around the Friday and Saturday time. So good to let the energies die down as we approach that. Maybe reconnect with that Leo self-expression as we do. And maybe some of those values of the emotional, more personal elements of life with that Cancer influence as well. The new moon slowly builds some new energy, but with also Mercury going station direct. And so certainly some slow movements building in regards to what we've been reflecting on or rethinking, or just what's been on the back burner or maybe hasn't flowed over these past few weeks. Nice support from the outer planets to give us a bit of that individuality and excitement, listening more of that true self with Uranus, some of that empowerment with Pluto, a reminder to be receptive while getting into this more improvement nature of Virgo, and Venus squaring up to Jupiter, entering Leo, seeing that there are opportunities, there are things to be open-minded about that we can enjoy and connect with in our relationships in grounded and constructive ways. All right, so everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're not yet signed up for MTZ Insiders, it is a free newsletter where we do get these videos released first before YouTube and extra content not normally released on YouTube. So if you haven't yet signed up down below, do check that out. But have a great week, everyone, and I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.